So hello and welcome back. This particular set of videos, we are going to talk about the topic on waste management. This is one of the important topic of environmental science. Again, I would like to reiterate that these videos are for you to help you understand things better, and I encourage you to watch these videos before the class if possible, and so that we can have good discussion in our regular class. So this is a supplement to the regular classroom teaching. It is not going to replace the regular classroom teaching. So you are expected to attend all the classes that we are having on Microsoft Teams this semester. So so let's get started. So waste management, as some of I think when we talk about that big first lecture also, when we're looking at all those different environmental issues, waste management topic did come up. So we'll kind of build upon on that topic today. So let's get started. In terms of waste management, with this particular topic, what we are going to cover, we'll talk about our throwaway culture. So we'll try to highlight the throwaway culture that we are kind of having in the society today. And we'll look at the characteristics of municipal solid waste, the waste that you and I are producing on day-to-day basis. So we'll talk about that in terms of what is there in the municipal solid waste, what can be done with those municipal solid waste, how to make it a useful resource. So we'll talk about those. Some of the sustainable practices on waste management, we'll try to highlight those, some good case studies, how things are being done. Then Government of India has a guideline which is called CPHO guideline for solid waste management. CPHO guideline is there for many, like water, it's there for solid waste, it is there for water, it is there for wastewater, and for water supply and all that. So essentially it's an organization which comes up with a guideline based on the rules and regulation which is prevalent in the country. So after the Swachh Bharat Mission program was launched, which has actually brought a lot of awareness in the area of waste management and other aspect, water, sanitation and all that in terms of environmental issues of our country. So CPHO manual was revised on the waste management as well. So now the recent CPHO manual is available on the particular website. Those of you who are interested on this topic to go deeper into the topic, you should look at those manual, very nicely done, and that's a good resource to have. Then we'll talk about how we can potentially go towards zero waste. Zero waste is a concept. It's not, see, when we say zero waste, it is not exactly like zero. It's not, we are not looking at like a 0-0. We are looking at something where it's a basically approach towards zero. So try to minimize waste production as much as possible. Then we'll look at some of those global issues in terms of we are looking at renewables. We are looking at renewable energy and all that. Now with the use of solar panel, use of wind and all that, there also we are creating some waste. And since they are newer type of waste, there is always a challenge to know like how to manage those kind of waste. So we'll talk about those stuff as well, and then we'll conclude this particular section. So again, welcome abroad on this particular topic. So we'll go one by one. So in terms of let's get these off. So when we talk about consumerism and our throwaway culture, consumerism is related to constant purchasing of new goods with little attention in their true need. Do we really need that material? Many times you go to the mall and then you like something, you just buy it. But just because we do have a good section of the society in India also, a sizable fraction, since our population is 1.3, close to 1.3 to 1.35 billion people, even if 30% or 25% people are such that they have now a good purchasing power. So India is the middle class, upper middle class, and of course the top class people, which are very, very few people there. But we have a sizable middle class, and that do have a good purchasing power as of now. So that we keep on buying things which we actually don't need it. So it's and then there are marketing. You get a lot of marketing from TV, from the newspaper advertisements and all those kind of stuff, and that leads to a lot of product being bought, and that do help in increasing the GDP of the country. But it also creates a lot of waste material. So we need to look at that too. So we don't pay much attention, with a little attention to the true need. We don't look at durability, we don't look at the product origin or the environmental consequence of their manufacture or the disposal. That kind of awareness is lacking as of now. That kind of awareness is lacking in pretty much everywhere in the world. There are few pockets in few countries where you see that kind of awareness has already come, and gradually it will come all over the world when we start having so much of environmental issues, and people will start paying attention to those. So most human activities are related to production and consumption. So we produce and consume. So that leads to excessive amount of waste in the form of solid, liquid, gaseous waste product. Remember we talked about affluenza, where that kind of syndrome. So that's what it is: production, and consumption, and leading to a lot of solid, liquid, and gaseous waste product coming out. So that it's creating issues in terms of our waste crisis. So now. Okay, let's go next. So consumerism, if you look at some of the figures, facts and figures here in terms of consumerism, it's considered, it can be like, sometimes it gets really difficult to visualize, and I apologize for this very small font picture on this particular slide. Don't worry too much about that. I will highlight the key points, and for the students who are in the class, you will get this PDF material, so you will be able to look at it in more, you can zoom in and see those in more detail. So right now it says that it gets really difficult when we talk about, while purchasing like green, eco-friendly, is it really green? Is it really eco-friendly? So we are looking at some of the data here. So if you look at from 1992 to 2002, so that time period, 1892, 1925, then 1966, 1985, and 2002. So as you can see here, in 1892, predominantly it was organic waste, and that's wherever we had the data. These are again global figures. For many countries, probably we didn't have any data at that particular time. But as you move from left to right, you can see variety of waste is getting added. You can see more and more colors. So as you move from here to here to here to here, you see that more and more colors are added to it. That means variety of waste is coming in. We are getting a lot of wood now. We are getting plastics, especially the plastic is this guy right here. So the plastic components are going up. These are percentages. So that's why the numbers keeps on fluctuating a little bit. That's a relative number. And like glass, we have textiles also showing up, plastics showing up, organic waste, paper, metals, dust, and other materials. So as you can see, as we move from left to right, we got lots of different variety of materials, and the proportional wise they are also increasing quite a bit. Now there are certain societies which is producing more waste. So 80% of the population in North America and Western Europe, they amounts for 60% of the private consumption spending. 60% of private consumption spending is happening from 80% of the population. Global oil production is right now 81 billion barrels a day, and it is going to fall down to around 40 barrels by 2030 due to diminishing resources. But the coal production will go up. We are producing in 2006, it was around, from 1980 to 2006, we saw almost like 1.5 times the coal production went up, and right now it is growing for around 2.5% every year. So 2.5% of, like, we are seeing more coal being produced every year. Then we are having like a food waste. You're looking at cars from 1950 to 2009. If you look at the cars, 1950 we had 3 million cars. Today we are looking at 500 million cars. That's in 2009. Now actually it might be much higher. So same thing, like we started looking at plastic. We saw like forest area being gone. So this is talks about the forest area being gone. The food that is we are producing, it is being transported over a long distance. We are not eating locally. We are getting a lot of food coming from different places. That again has a transportation cost. We have if you look at in terms of in terms of your public transport, again we are not using that much of public transport. Let's see, let me get this one off. Let's see how to get this. Maybe, yeah, I'll just put it down there. So if you look at public transport produces 95% less carbon monoxide and nearly 50% less carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide. But we are still a good fraction of the population. In fact, the private vehicle usage is going up on day-to-day basis. In fact, you may have seen some these days. You get some WhatsApp forwards or Facebook forwards and all that, where there was a very nicely said that, say, rich country or the developed country does not mean that everybody drives their own car. So developed country does not mean that everybody drives their own car. Developed country means that even the rich and super rich use public transport. So if we can get to that status where even the rich and super rich in the country, they use public transport because public transport is reliable, clean, and efficient, then of course that's what the development is all about. It's not about having fancy, like everybody driving those fancy car and choking the roads and creating all those air pollution issues. But as of now, based on the way the society is working, we are in a consumerism and throwaway culture, and we are creating a lot of waste because of that. If you look at total individual lifetime disposal, on average, every person throws away 7.5 times their body weight each year. 7.5 times your body weight. So if you are, say, 60 kg, you are throwing away 450 kg. That's your 7.5. Yeah, 7 6 are 42 plus 30. So you have 450 kg worth of waste you are throwing away. Again, these are some global figure number. In Indian context, the numbers will be less, slightly less over there. But we are also moving towards so-called Western lifestyle and so-called like American dream lifestyle, where we will be reaching that level soon. And if you look at in terms of like different material out there, we have plastic, we have paper, we have metals, we have glass, we have rubber, we have wood, we have miscellaneous material, we have garden waste, food waste. And if you want to recycle, steel cans can be recycled in 6 weeks. Recycled glass to make containers, we can save, if you use recycled glass to make containers, we can save 355 kg of CO2 saved per ton of glass. 70% less energy to use to make recycled paper. So steel cans are 100% recyclables. Glass can be recycled many times without losing its property, losing its purity as well. TV, if you look at all these total household disposal per week, you have combustible material around 3.3 kg, garden waste, kitchen waste, textile, glass packaging, aluminum packaging, ferrous, plastic, cardboard. So each year, average dustbin contains enough unreleased energy for 500 bathtubs. So if you take 500 times bath in a bathtub, the water usage is more. If you hot water bath, like if you take it's a warm water, that much energy is just dumped into the garbage without utilizing that particular energy and ends up in our landfills and all that. Or you can have 5,000 hours of television. You can watch 5,000 hours of television from the waste that you really throw away every day. Yes, that's per week. Sorry, per week. So that much. Sorry, it's a 5 per year. Sorry, I'd say it's a per year. Every year you get around 5,000 amount of waste that you throw away. You can watch 5,000 hours of TV on that. So again, these are all global averages. Okay, these are all global average, not Indian condition. There will be slightly less as of now. So average household weekly waste is enough to power TV for 2 years. Now you can, if you have old television, can be 96% of an old television can be used to make a new television. So 96% of the old television actually can be recycled. Average family throws away 6 trees worth of paper in their household bin in a year. So that's either you send it for recycling or you send it for disposal. So almost 6 trees worth of paper. Energy saved from recycling 1 bottle will power a 100-watt light bulb for an hour. So if you're talking about plastic bottle. 1 recycled aluminum can save enough energy to power a TV for 3 hours. Just 1 aluminum can. 1 aluminum can, the energy that will be saved can power TV for 3 hours. So think about all the wastage that we are doing. So if you look at in the first year alone, our household recycling, when they were trying to do this household recycling, they could save 2.1 billion glass wine bottles, 2.9 billion aluminum cans, 6.6 billion newspaper, which was enough to build 6 stacks reaching to the moon and all that. If you put in a landfill, they take a long time to decompose. It takes very long time to decompose these materials. That's why we don't like to put these stuff in a landfill. And we should try to recover and do all that. So in 2018, World Bank came up with this report. They come up with this report, and I try to use this report in many presentations I do. So some of you may have seen it before. So in terms of, it's called What a Waste 2.0. In that report, they try to present the global snapshot of solid waste management as of now and what will happen by 2050. So world generates 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually. And if we don't do anything about that, that number is expected to go up to around 3.4 billion tons by 2050. Now, what is there in that garbage? If you look at that waste, what is present there? We have metal, around 4%. We have glass, 5%, plastic, 12%, paper and cardboard, 17%, and food and green waste, 44%. And these are, again, global numbers. These are global averages, which is presented here from the World Bank report. So if you look at individually, metal 4, glass 5, plastic 12, paper 17, each one of them can be recycled. There are market exist for recycling of each one of them. Even in India, each one of them can be recycled. And food and green waste, which is 44%, we can do composting, or we can do anaerobic digestion, and we can do resource recovery from that as well. And if you can look at where the waste is produced, we are in South Asia, so we will be actually producing much more than what is North America is producing right now. Per capita generation is very low, but if you look at the overall, we are producing much higher numbers. So there is a lot of job that can be created in this area. Now, how to make it happen? We have to do source segregation. There is no other option actually to do it most efficiently. If you mix it all together, and then also if you can set up a recycling or source segregation system at a centralized location, we can still do it, but we will lose some value because most of these recyclables will get dirty. These recyclables will become dirty. These material will become dirty. And then this material becomes dirty, it's very difficult to clean it up and try to use it for other applications, like for recycling and all that. So if we can do at least wet and dry as our municipal solid waste management rules 2016 requires us to do, actually in Indian context, it requires us to do wet and dry segregation. If we can do that, which is actually one of the best thing I like about that rule, is that trying to make it mandatory to have wet and dry segregation. And that irrespective of where you are, if you're in a house, in institutions or restaurants or even in hotels or anywhere, each and every individual in the country is actually responsible, has been made responsible by that particular rule that we have to do wet and dry segregation. If we can do that, so dry will have metal, glass, plastic and paper. They don't actually make each other dirty. So you can just take it there and just take out those materials. You can separate them out in a centralized facility and you can use it for different like resource recovery, recycling and all that. And same thing, wet waste will essentially will have the food waste and the green waste and other organic waste. We can do compost out of that. We can make anaerobic digestion out of that and so on and so forth. But when we mix it all together, it becomes a mess. And that's what we are dealing with for many places. In fact, in like a lot of places in Indian context, that's where we are struggling with, that it is very difficult to do any sort of resource recovery with the mixed waste. Later on you can do biomining and landfill mining, but why to create the problem at the first place? Let's do the things correctly from the first place. Of course it requires a lot of infrastructure development, a lot of capacity building and all that. I agree with that. So let's do it. Let's do that, because that's what is needed to solve the waste management problem of this particular of our country and similar situation in many places in the world. So this particular article, it's an Economic Times, was done like 3 years ago in 2018, and on January 13, 2018, which is written by I wrote this piece. On that particular day, they had another big article on this topic, which they quoted me on that article as well. So you can search on Google to find it. So you can find this article there as well. So here we say very clearly that for effective waste disposal, segregation is the key. So for effective waste disposal, you have to do segregation. If you don't do segregation, and I explain that in more detail there, you can read that, like how segregation is important for composting, for anaerobic digestion, for waste to energy, and behind the residual of it has to go to a final resting place and all that. So if you are interested, you are encouraged to look at this as well. So let's keep on moving. And now if you don't manage it properly, what happens? You have these kind of scenarios. These pictures are from different places in the world. So you have this waste just dumped on a site. You have this air pollution issues coming from waste not managed properly. You have this is a Delhi landfill, one of the Delhi landfill. You can see the waste just getting into there. There is a water, there are some water pounding and all that, leachate mixing with water. There was a tube well as well. So a lot of environmental impact. And on the right hand side, what you're looking at is a picture from coming from our from waste. This was from a facility that was from a village where the e-waste was being recycled in China, and this water body was contaminated with lead. The concentration of lead in this water body was almost, I think, 20 times more than the drinking water standard, and it was of no use. So in terms of, so let's stop here for this video, and we'll start here at this particular point when we look at this global waste composition in terms of, and we'll talk about some more detail in the next video. So again, these videos are for you to help you learn better this particular course. So thank you, and see you in the next video.